Enermax Lick Fusion 240 Review. Enermax tries to set itself apart with unique optical highlights in the AIO water cooling market. How well the Enermax Lick Fusion 240 looks and whether it can convince with cooling performance, we have tested in the new review, including new videos and of course again with 360 degrees view. The Enermax Lick Fusion 240 water cooling convinces us in all respects. Both cooling capacity and appearance are combined to form a successful package. Even with the accessories, nothing is missing and also the workmanship is impeccable. We also like that Enermax has been thinking about fluid loss and has made the Lick Fusion refillable. So, the water cooling should run for many years. Our only point of criticism is the pump. The arrangement on the hose is optically in our opinion not quite optimal. Here we would rather have a pump in the radiator, like the Antec K240. Team Group T-Force Nighthawk RGB Legend DDR4 Review. The Team Group T-Force Nighthawk RGB series received many awards for the design and quality, including 2018 IF Design Award, Taiwan Excellence 2017, Computex D&I Awards 2017, Golden Pin Award 2016. The kit that arrived consists of two 8GB 3200 MHz DDR4 modules. It's one of two variants of this exact series, each of them is 2 by 8GB. The available options are 3200 MHz CL14 1431, 3466 MHz CL16 18 38. If you consider the frequency and latencies, the first variant looks more promising, for overclocking. Unlike the regular Nighthawk RGB, which comes in black or white, the Legend variant is available only in one, golden color. It's not the fastest one in the lineup, but we are going to check if anything more can be squeezed out of this set. Remember that you can always stay on the safe side and stick to the advertised frequency and latencies using the Intel XMP 2.0 memory profile. You can find the QVL list at this place. It doesn't include Z390 motherboards yet, but you'll find AMD Ryzen ones in a wide variety. The memory is optimized for use with the latest Intel and AMD motherboards and processors. For our test, Team Group supplied a dual 2 by 8GB Gold DDR4 kit rated at 3200 MHz with CL14, which is ideal for Z370/Z390 and AMD Ryzen systems, dual channel. Team Group T-Force Nighthawk Legend RGB is a special edition of the Nighthawk RGB series. RGB has been the flavor of the month, year, in PC hardware market debuts. So what makes this one different? The color of the radiator. It's golden, which is a change from the basic black or white variants. What else? The latency settings are much stricter, CL14 instead of CL16. The memory chips are the famous B-Die by Samsung. Higher frequency memory still can make a difference, even when you push it from the basic 2666 MHz to just 3200 MHz. The review Team Group T-Force Nighthawk Legend RGB kit, when tweaked, achieved an astonishing 3900 MHz with merely a slightly increased voltage, 1.4 V, compared to standard 1.35 V, and CL17. That's a very, very good result, especially that the used motherboard is a mid-end, not dedicated for extreme results like Asus Maximus series, ASRock Teiki etc. Some gaming tests, like Watch Dogs 2, show a noticeable advantage with tweaked, overclocked memory in most workload scenarios. From a more professional workload point of view, Frybench or Corona benchmark show performance gains after overclocking, or when you use faster memory kits, as these render via the CPU and the memory subsystem. Team Group have managed to make the T-Force Nighthawk Legend RGB a very nice looking kit that will be sure to catch your eye. I have no doubts that most users will like it. The LEDs are very bright, and the color transitions are smooth. Team Group T-Force Nighthawk Legend RGB provides all the features that today's customers may require, XMP, RGB etc. The performance with the default XMP profile is very good, and actually above that of other 3200 MHz sets. This is because the latency is CL14, rather than the typical CL16, and you can squeeze a bit more out of this kit. 3900 MHz and CL17 at 1.4V does make a good impression, and Samsung's BDI chips are what makes this possible. 700 MHz is equal to over 20% of a boost in frequency. If you have a better motherboard for memory overclocking than the EVGA Z370 FTW that I used, for example an Asus Maximus 11 Apex/Gene, it would probably be possible to achieve even 4000 MHz with a reviewed kit at the given latency. However, you need to remember that reproducibility is never guaranteed when it comes to memory, so your result may vary. It's good that you're not limited to Asus Aura for RGB control in the Legends series, with systems from ASRock, Gigabyte, and MSI supported as well. On top of that, you can always use the T4 Splits application from Team Group if you prefer. Of course, the memory is covered by lifetime warranty. As for the drawbacks, the rather high heat spreader, 52mm, can be an issue with some coolers, but as always, I recommend checking clearances, height, before buying. Asus ROG Strix Z390 Gaming Motherboard Review. The Asus ROG Strix Z390 represents a mid-range offering from a global brand focused on gaming, ROG. Asus and the Republic of Gamers brand are often associated with enthusiast-level hardware focused at gamers. The Strix range caters towards the middle of the road with their options primarily being aimed directly at gaming. The Strix Z390 Gaming has plenty to offer including RGB LED lighting, 2x M.2 slots with heatsinks and uses an Intel 9560 MIMO 1.73 Gbps capable Wi-Fi adapter. Gamers will be happy to know a Supreme FX S1228 is there if you're looking for premium audio, and the board does have plenty of USB 3.1 Gen 2 10 Gbps ports on the rear panel. Before we dive into the full specifications and a closer look at the Asus ROG Strix Z390 gaming motherboard itself, here's what Asus has to say about their new Z390 chipset Socket GA1151 motherboard. ROG Strix Z390 Gaming amps the power delivery and stacks a comprehensive set of cooling options to tame Intel's latest CPUs. Together with a wealth of enhancements, including one-click optimization and wireless connectivity, ROG Strix Z390 Gaming makes a formidable foundation for ATX gaming builds that go above and beyond. The ROG Strix Z390 Gaming provides all the essentials you need to harness the full potential of components in your build for top-tier gaming performance. A host of design touches, including a unique cybertext pattern, plus customization options, comprehensive validation lists, and the most diverse ecosystem of components in the industry make building and personalizing a gaming rig with ROG Strix Z390 Gaming wonderfully easy. Performance of the Asus ROG Z390 Gaming motherboard in our test suite was good all around and was neck and neck with other Z370/Z390 boards on test. So with style looking good, performance looking good, it's time to give my final verdict on this ATX-sized gaming Z390 motherboard, the Asus ROG Strix Z390 Gaming. What's hot? What's not? Let's go. What's hot? Looks great. Nice gray and black color scheme. RGB from the rear panel cover looks good, as well as expansion for more with 2x RGB strip headers and 1x RGB addressable header. Support for 4266 MHz memory. That's fast. A perfect example of a great mid-range Z390 motherboard, solid BIOS with tons of overclocking functions, more than you will ever need. What's not? A little bit pricier than ASRock, MSI and Gigabyte's mid-range models. One thing that sets the Strix Z390 motherboard apart from the rest of the mid-range is its sheer will to offer premium features and quality, at a lower price than expected. Sure, there are cheaper alternatives on the market, but none of them does it the way Asus Republic of Gamers does. The Z390 has a lot of positives, including the software such as the Sonic Studio 3 utility, as well as the UEFI BIOS, which is jam-packed with useful and customizable options and overclocking settings. The 10-phase VRM is also good quality, and with a robust heatsink like the one installed, there should be no problems pushing your Intel Core i9-9900K to the moon and back. Everything from the 2x.M.2 slots, which both have heat sinks, the 10-phase DG Plus VRM, the support for 4266 MHz DDR4 memory, and the EPYC stylings make the ROG Strix Z390 a surefire winner with us. If you're looking to build a good quality gaming system and intend to opt for an Intel CPU, the Z390 Gaming is a superb motherboard which not only sits in the mid-range, but it utterly dominates it. SteelSeries Rival 710 Gaming Mouse Review. Today we will be covering the SteelSeries Rival 710 Gaming Mouse. We were lucky enough to cover the Rival 700. The 700 first explored the OLED screen and vibration feature. What updates were made to the 710? Well, we will cover all the features and specs of the 710 in this review. I am interested in the improvements SteelSeries may have incorporated in the 710. Let's not delay this any longer and get to the good stuff. Some may not see how the OLED display is actually beneficial, but the possibilities to display stats, health meter and much more, but having those displayed right by your thumb could actually become very beneficial if you train yourself to use the feature. I like the vibration feature. When has feedback been bad? I love it on a controller, so I do not see why a mouse would be any different. Well, I am ready to dive right in and see what the Rival 700 has to offer. The Rival 710 Elite Performance Gaming Mouse features a custom TrueMove 312,000 CPI, 350 IPS optical sensor engineered exclusively with PixArt, and a built-in OLED for notifications and customization. Tactile alerts immerse you in the game, while the reinforced split trigger buttons and 60 million click switches deliver the extreme durability to keep you in the battle. Designed unlike any other sports mouse, the innovative modularity of the Rival 710 allows you to swap the sensor or change the cable or cover to exactly what you need to maximize your personal performance. RGB lighting and Prism Sync give the ability to choose colors and effects on all your supported SteelSeries gear. Well, there we have it. The new reboot of a great mouse. The subtle differences in the material, size and weight are minimal, but the upgraded switches to 60 million from 30 million clicks and the new PixArt 9800 sensor are the biggest improvements. Now, whether or not I could even take a mouse to 30 million clicks is debatable, but it's nice knowing I could make it to 60 million with the 710. I feel confident that I will be able to use this mouse for the rest of my life. I do like the smooth rubber feel of the material on the 710 compared to the textured style of the 700. I know the keyboard I had that had a display became very boring because there was only a handful of applications that you could download through developers. Keep the OLED relevant and there will be a growing crowd. I simply love the vibration feedback. Once again, I never noticed the feedback interfering with my play at all. I actually enjoy the feature. The swappable covers and sensors are compatible with the Rival 700 also, but you can't upgrade the switches. It also looks like you can't buy the 700 directly from SteelSeries any longer. So, if you missed out on the 700, hurry and get your hands on the 710. You won't be disappointed. Pros: vibrating feedback, OLED display, SteelSeries promoted images for OLED, SteelSeries engine, upgraded switches, swappable USB cord. Cons: none. The Rival 700 set the bar high and took a leap where no one else has journeyed. The design of 710 is pretty much the same, but the upgraded switches and the new PixArt 9800 sensor is the key for the success of the 710. I look forward to seeing what SteelSeries has up their sleeves for 2019. Top-notch company, with quality products. Trust GXT 180 Qzen Pro. The GXT 180 Qzen is packaged in a standard cardboard box that follows the general design of the Trust gaming packaging. The front side of the box features a profile view of the mouse and its full name. On the top part of this side there are listed the main features of the mouse as well as the name and logo of the Trust GXT series. The back side presents the mouse and its main features in 6 different languages. On the right side there is a top-down photo of the mouse. The Trust Gaming and Epsilon Team logos are also present on the back of the packaging. The mouse itself is held in place inside the packaging by a thin plastic case. The accessories are found under the mouse and its case. With the GXT 180 QZone Pro, Trust Gaming has shown that they are looking into developing better gaming mice for affordable prices. The QZone was developed with the help of the Epsilon esports team and is available at a price around €40 or USD but can be had for less depending on the sales available. The QZone Pro is a good and affordable gaming mouse with discrete RGB elements and surprising internal construction. While many budget gaming mice are offered with only 2 branded switches, the QZone Pro uses Hono switches for every button apart from the DPI switch. The overall gaming performance of this mouse is good, and after a bit of tweaking in the software, I had no problem using it as my daily mouse. In conclusion, the GXT 180 QZone Pro is a great affordable gaming mouse that offers the important functions for gaming and is available at a good price. The software is simple and has the basic functionalities that you'd want and more importantly, can store your customized profiles on the onboard memory of the mouse. The performance is good but I will strongly encourage everyone to download the Trust Gaming software and tweak the mouse so you can get the best experience possible with the QZone Pro. In terms of ergonomics, the shape of the QZone is symmetrical and can be successfully used by both right and left-handed users. The shape itself is comfortable and provides a good base for the hand. FSP Hydro PTM 650 watts PSU review. FSP's new Hydro PTM family shows that company is trying hard to attract mainstream attention. However, the series faces strong competition from Seasonic's Focus Plus Platinum lineup, which sells at similar prices, offers better performance, and operates quietly. The HPT 650M we're reviewing today does employ high-quality components. It's distinctive looking, too. But aesthetics is of course an ancillary consideration for a piece of hardware that spends its life hidden away inside of your case. According to FSP, the 3-member Hydro PTM family is designed for gaming enthusiasts and overclockers with mid-range PCs. In our experience, the 650 watts model would complement a Core i7/Ryzen 7 CPU and one high-end graphics card from AMD or Nvidia. These days, dual GPU configurations are increasingly rare. But if you have the need for 2 cards in Crossfire or SLI, consider a PSU with more capacity. The HPT 650M is a nice-looking power supply that easily stands apart from the crowd. But most enthusiasts would argue that aesthetics aren't particularly important in the world of PSUs, and we'd agree. In our opinion, it'd be better if the HPT 650M distinguished itself with impressive performance instead of an inspired exterior. FSP's underlying platform is good. However, it's not strong enough to match the benchmark results from similar capacity PSUs made by Seasonic, CWT, and Superflower. We'd be a little more forgiving if the HPT 650M's price tag was lower, but it's not. For the same amount of money, you can get Seasonic's excellent Focus Plus Platinum instead. Moving forward, we hope that FSP improves this design's overall performance. Specifically, it needs to address the minor rail's mediocre transient response and extend the short hold-up time. We expect high-end power supplies to offer a hold-up time longer than 17 ms. At least the HPT 650M's power good signal is accurate. We're even more concerned that FSP put 2 EPS connectors on a single cable. This can lead to huge problems if you use both connectors to feed a power-hungry CPU. Given that each connector delivers up to 336 watts, doubling that amount of power could easily melt the cable, especially if it consists of 18-gauge wires. We're happy to see a company offer 2 EPS connectors on a 650 watts power supply. But they have to be implemented properly, otherwise it's better not to have them at all. FSP's rails clearly don't match the competition when it comes to load regulation and transient response. However, the 5VSP rail sets an example for other manufacturers to follow thanks to its high efficiency. In fact, the HPT650M's 5VSP circuit is one of the most efficient we've ever measured. FSP takes the standby rail very seriously, contrary to other OEMs that don't put as much effort into getting it right. The HPT650M's most notable advantage compared to the other PSUs in this category is its quiet operation, achieved through the use of a low-speed FDB fan and its relaxed speed profile. Although the HPT650M doesn't offer a semi-passive mode, you won't hear this PSU at idle because of how slowly the fan spins under light loads. We think this is the best approach to cooling, since it doesn't allow for heat to build up inside of the PSU. Sensitive components like electrolytic capacitors don't wear out prematurely as a result. With a number of upgrades, this could be a very good product capable of matching its competition. Until FSP applies those fixes, though, the company should seriously consider a lower price to make the HPT650M more appealing to enthusiasts and gamers who do their research. Pros: efficient, well-implemented 5VSP rail, quiet operation, high-quality electrolytic caps, fully modular, 2x EPS and 4x key connectors, fluid dynamic bearing fan, 10-year warranty. Cons: needs a lower price tag to improve value, transient response could be better, 2 EPS connectors on the same cable could cause problems, low hold-up time, failed IMI testing, fairly large chassis. This is a good power supply that suffers due to a high price that lands it among higher-end competition like the Seasonic SSR650PX. The HPT650M's main strengths are quiet operation, an efficient 5VSP rail, good ripple suppression, and a pair of EPS connectors, rare at the 650 watts capacity point. Unfortunately, those connectors are installed on the same cable, so you cannot fully utilize them if you want to stay on the safe side. Creative Sound Blastrix G6 7.1 External Gaming Audio DAC Review. Sound cards come in many shapes and sizes and have changed quite a bit since the early days of computing. Just about every motherboard comes with a sound card on board, and for many of the audio solutions are a major selling point of the board. For the casual gamer rocking a custom PC, the onboard solution is usually good enough. However, as a hardware and audio enthusiast, the stock just won't do, and Creative has two very awesome solutions for the audio dilemma. We have reviewed both of these solutions before. The first was the Sound Blastrix G5 followed by the Sound Blastrix AE5, and in terms of specifications these products are very similar. They both feature DAC-level audio processing and are controlled by the Sound Blaster Connect software package. Despite the similarities, the Blastrix AE5 is designed to be a PC-based audio processor supporting RGB LED lighting and ports to power external desktop speakers and connect to front panel controls. On the flip side, the Blastrix G5 is an external audio solution for gaming headphones, with the typical usage being game consoles, PCs and mobile devices. In this review I'll be looking at the upgrade to the Sound Blastrix G5, the Creative Sound Blastrix G6. The Blastrix G6 is not a ground-up refresh but more of a tweak to deliver better audio quality at the hardware level and more control in the software. Like before, the new Sound Blastrix G6 is an external sound card and headphone amplifier which can be used on a variety of different systems including the PC, Mac, Android, iOS, PS4, Nintendo Switch and Xbox One. The versatility of the G6 is in how it connects to the various different systems, supporting USB and optical connections to deliver amazing audio features beyond what the base system can support. Over the years there has been a major decline in discrete sound card solutions. Many of the big names are still available, but given the prevalence of some really great onboard audio solutions, we often forget that specialized sound cards are still a good investment both in audio quality and gaming performance. The Creative Sound Blastrix G6 external gaming DAC is an excellent example of a specialized sound solution. One of the great things about the Sound Blastrix G6 is that it can be used on any device with a line-level output, including mobile devices and console games. The processed audio can then be passed through the onboard audio amplifier and sent external amplifier, headphones or speakers. During this transition you can choose from a variety of SBX audio profiles to further enhance your game audio. Or if you are a bitrate snob and really want the best of the best to be played on the best, you can bypass the software completely and use the maximum 32-bit 384 kHz bitrate that the G6 supports. Overall, I am rather impressed with the Sound Blastrix G6. Initially it didn't strike me as any different from the previous Blastrix G5. I regularly use an external sound card when attending LAN parties, and given that I'm wearing headphones at these events, having the external headphone DAC is a great way to get great 7.1 audio for my Creative Blastrix H5 gaming headset. At the latest LAN party I spent a day on the G5 and later switched to the G6 the next day and haven't looked back since. Good things: portable audio solution, works on more than the PC, support for high-end headphones, virtual 7.1 surround sound, virtual 5.1 surround sound, bass boost, SBX sound profile, dynamic volume light, RGB LED on board. Bad things: USB cable is not braided, poor write mark FREC and IMD scores, not using USB Type-C. Adida SX8200 Pro 1TB review. Adida's SX8200 SSD was one of the highlights in our recent SSD reviews. It pairs amazing performance with excellent pricing. Now, Adida has released the successor to the SX8200, simply called the SX8200 Pro. This new SSD uses an updated SMI controller which was just announced earlier this year. The SM2262 comes with 8 flash channels and TLC support, just like the SM2262 used on the SX8200 Non-Pro. The differences seem to be under the hood, as all other specifications are identical, too, with the exception that read and write speeds have gone up, now to a rated 3500 MB per second read and 3000 MB per second write. As flash, Adida is using the same IMFT Intel, Micron 3D NAND TLC. They just rebranded the package with Adida this time around. 2 DDR3 DRAM memory chips with a total capacity of 1 GB provide memory for the controller's lookup tables. Adida is making the SX8200 Pro available in capacities of 256 GB, not available of yet, 512 GB, $118, and 1 TB, $215. This review. Endurance is set to 160 TBW, 320 TBW, and 640 TBW respectively. As little goodie for power users, Adida is including a small heatsink with sticky tape in their packaging, which will help bring down temperatures for desktop users. The fact that the heatsink is not pre-installed is actually a good thing, as it ensures notebook users and users with their own M.2 coolers won't have to rip off the heatsink, possibly damaging the SSD in the process. We recorded a thermal image of the running SSD as it was completing the write test, with the heatsink installed. The hottest part reached 80 degrees Celsius, which is a bit higher than what the drive's own smart temperature monitoring reports, but not critically high in any way. Rather, it would have been good if Adida allowed for 5 to 10 degrees Celsius higher temperature, which could have yielded more thermal headroom. Yet again, Adida manages to impress us with their SSD offerings. The SX8200 Pro comes with just Pro appended to the name, no doubt to compete with Samsung's 970 Pro branding. Under the hood, the only real change is the use of the Silicon Motion SM2262 in controller, while the previous non-Pro drive uses the SM2262 controller, without N. This new revision of the SM2262 comes with higher read and write speeds for both sequential and random access patterns, which our synthetic testing shows in a dramatic way. In our real-life testing, we only see small differences. The biggest gains are apparent in situations where large files are transferred sequentially, like ISO file copy. Just like on other NVMe-based drives, The Miz Office installation is quite slow, which we've confirmed to be a bug in Microsoft's installer. There's nothing we can do about it, and it happens on all NVMe drives. Looking at average performance, though, the differences are much smaller than what the synthetic testing would suggest. All top M.2 NVMe drives are within a few percentages of each other, which is due to the fact that with such fast drives, disk speed starts mattering very little compared to other tasks other applications perform. A huge improvement can be found in sustained write speeds, where we measured 1782 megabytes per second on average over a 15-minute duration while the drive writes as quickly as it can. This is more than 10x as fast as some other TLC drives in our test group and the best DLC result we have ever seen. The only drive that ever got a better result is the Samsung 970 Pro, which is much more expensive due to the use of MLC flash chips. Just like all other high-performance M.2 drives, the SX8200 Pro will heat up quickly when heavily loaded, and it will start throttling after a minute of being fully loaded with writes. That's a full minute at greater than 3 GB per second. The throttling is not nearly as bad as on competing drives since even in the throttled state, the SSD will be operating at over 1 GB per second write speeds. It's great to see a small heatsink included in the package of the SX8200 Pro, and we recommend everybody install it as long as they don't use their own heatsink. Adida was wise to not pre-install it, so that notebook users or people who want to install another heatsink won't have to rip off the heatsink, possibly causing damage while doing so. What's almost more important than all these performance results is the pricing of the SX8200 Pro. The reviewed 1TB version is only $215, or 21 cents per gigabyte, which is very affordable for a drive in this performance class. It's significantly cheaper than the Samsung 970 EVO, $300, and the SX8200 Pro is faster at the same time. The Samsung 970 Pro is still the fastest drive we have ever tested, although prohibitively expensive at the same time with over $400, the SX8200 Pro is almost half of that. More budget-oriented users can definitely consider SATA drives, which are incredibly affordable nowadays. For example, the Crucial MX500 is just 15 cents per GB nowadays, which can be a significant cost saver if you are willing to live with SATA speeds. The Adida SX8200 Pro 1TB is currently available for $215. Plus, outstanding performance, fastest TLC drive we have ever tested, sustained write performance more than twice of most TLC drives, competitively priced, over 3 GB per second read speeds, more than 2.5 GB per second write, heatsink included, 5-year warranty, compact form factor. Minus, some thermal throttling, even with heatsink, thermal reporting inaccurate. AMD hired agency in South Korea teases AMD Ryzen 7 3700X, Ryzen 5 3600X. Anyone looking for an update to their CPU that didn't quite jump on the Coffee Lake/Zen Plus bandwagon is likely paying close attention to AMD's upcoming Zen 2 CPUs. The upcoming AMD processors will finally leave the company ahead of Intel in terms of manufacturing process for the first time in years, and will bring about AMD's new vision for HCC desktop processors in a chiplet design. With the release of Zen 2 set for 2019, probably around Computex, and its launch being of such importance to AMD, it isn't that surprising that some promotions, teases are already popping up. The tease in question was posted by an AMD contracted sales agency in South Korea, which launched a campaign inviting users to guess Cinebench scores for upcoming AMD processors, namely, the Ryzen 7 3700X and Ryzen 5 3600X, thus confirming the nomenclature for AMD's upcoming CPUs. The contest finishes on December 14th, and is basically asking users to take a gander on scores for unreleased CPUs, promising prizes of said CPUs when they launch. Obsidian announces Sci-Fi The Outer Worlds first-person RPG for 2019. Obsidian Entertainment, which was recently acquired by Microsoft in its efforts to bolster its first-party studios, has announced a new video game set for release in 2019. Titled The Outer Worlds, it's a first-person RPG with a focus on single-player and story. It seems more Fallout than Fallout, really, which should come as a surprise to virtually no one. This is the game studio that developed Fallout, New Vegas, and that still holds the talent of some of that franchise's early creators. The game seems to be striking a balance between Fallout and Borderlands, both in the art and setting department and overall design. If so, this could be an interesting take on the genre, though we'd hope for either a really strong storyline or some innovative mechanics to set itself apart from other offerings that are crowding these particular strata of the gaming world. Borderlands, Rage, Fallout, and now Far Cry New Dawn are all exploring stretches of this setting. We'll be here to look at what a current-gen Fallout game might be without the creation engine and multiplayer focus like Fallout 76. Far Cry New Dawn announced, launching February 15th, New Montana with a post-apocalyptic twist. Ubisoft has announced the latest installment in the Far Cry series. Titled New Dawn, the new entry will retain the New Montana setting, with a twist. We are now 17 years into the future, with the baseline being the end of Far Cry 5. An apocalyptic event, a global nuclear catastrophe, naturally, has warped humanity's capabilities and way of living, and we'll get to see an all-new, reskinned New Montana. It seems tons of pink and purple will make a major splash in this post-apocalyptic setting. Think of how Far Cry 3, Blood Dragon swapped over to a red color scheme, and you get the idea. Overall, the game makes some changes to the overall Far Cry aesthetic. I am curious to see how much Hope County has changed with the events that happened in between games, but I'm slightly suspicious of a game within the same setting and with such a short development time. It's sort of a revisit on the Far Cry Primal formula. The new game drops February 15th, 2019. Valve announces new Battle Royale mode for CS:GO, changes model to free-to-play. Valve has brought about an update to their eons old competitive shooter CS:GO. The update brings the game to the modern, post-Fortnite era of multiplayer games, with a new Battle Royale mode named Danger Zone. The Danger Zone Battle Royale mode cuts the number of maximum players to 18, though, which is a far cry from other market offerings, but has designed to mode so that each match lasts at most 10 minutes. Which should bring about some escalating tension despite the reduced number of players compared to other Battle Royale game modes. The usual save the hostages mechanic has been baked into the mode as a way for players to make money, which they can use to purchase weapons, a la classic CS fashion. The other move that Valve has made in order to boost popularity of CS:GO has been to make the game free to play, waiving the usual $15 entry fee. It just wasn't justifiable, it seems, to keep such a price on a game released back in 2012, especially not when compared to the money-making prowess of Fortnite. Epic Games begins moving its games off Steam and onto its own store platform. Epic Games is moving its entire collection of digitally sold games away from Steam, and onto its own new store plus DRM platform rivaling Steam, Origin, and Uplay. The new Epic Games Store plans not only to sell games published by Epic, but also other third-party publishers, to whom Epic is promising an 88% revenue share, keeping a 12% then margin for handling DRM, unlimited downloads, and update batch distribution. For comparison, Steam rakes in a 30% margin. Epic is offering additional incentives to third-party game studios who use Unreal Engine. Epic Games titles are being pulled out from Steam Store. The move does not affect people who already own Epic titles on Steam, as future reinstalls and patch updates will continue. Inno3D announces iChill Frostbite Force RTX 20 series. Inno3D, a leading manufacturer of pioneering high-end multimedia components and various innovations, is excited to introduce the new iChill Frostbite. The brains in R&D have revisited the water cooling solution segment of iChill and developed this water block masterpiece. It is designed around NVIDIA's GeForce RTX Series 2080 Ti, 2080 and 2070, providing nothing short of excellent cooling for these powerhouse of graphics cards. Inno3D decided it was the right time to bring back water cooling and add this to the Eschel arsenal, befitting to the power of the new RTX series and its need for the best cooling technology. The Eschel Frostbite is built with top quality components for supreme functionality whilst catering to the aesthetic demands with its magnificent RGB lighting. The Eschel Frostbite is built with pure copper and is nickel plated, which completely seals the heatsink, protecting it. Increased cooling performance is enabled with thin thermal pads and close proximity with radiator and component. It also has ultra-thin cooling fins at 0.6 mm thick that stand 0.6 mm between each other, resulting in maximum possible cooling performance. Our senior product manager Ken Wong emphasizes the uniqueness of this cooler with its exchangeable terminals, which allows you to alter and design your own water cycle by either using the terminal with vertical or horizontal connections. He further adds that Eschel Frostbite's vibrant RGB lighting allows you to see how it optimally illuminates the cooler, and it has added a color dimension to this water cooling solution to bring your PC to life. Years of R&D has allowed Inno3D to make technological advancements, continuously pushing the boundaries and bolster their expertise in the graphics card industry. It has elevated Eschel to a point that makes a difference for high-end gamers and design creation professionals, achieving high performance with outstanding temperature control and at super quiet noise levels. Inno3D is now working hard to make the new Eschel cooling solution available at all premium resellers across the region. Intel 7nm UV node back on track, 2x transistor densities over 10 nanometers. There could be light at the end of the tunnel for Intel's silicon fabrication business after all, as the company reported that its 7nm silicon fabrication node, which incorporates UV, extreme ultraviolet, lithography, is on track. The company stressed in its Nasdaq Investors Conference presentation that its 7nm UV process is delinked from its 10nm UV, deep ultraviolet, node, and that there are separate teams working on their development. The 10nm UV node is qualitatively online, and is manufacturing small batches of low-power mobile Cannon Lake core processors. Cannon Lake is an optical shrink of the Skylake architecture to the 10nm node. Currently there's only one SKU based on it, the Core i3-8121U. Intel utilized the electrical gains from the optical shrink to redesign the client segment architecture's FPU to support the AVX512 instruction set, although not as feature-rich as the company's enterprise segment Skylake derivatives. The jump from 10nm UV to 7nm UV will present a leap in transistor densities, with Intel expecting nothing short of a doubling. 10nm UV uses a combination of 193nm wavelength ultraviolet lasers and multi-patterning to achieve its transistor density gains over 14nm++. The 7nm UV node uses an extremely advanced 135nm indirect laser, reducing the need for multi-patterning. The same laser coupled with multi-patterning could be Intel's ticket to 5nm. 7nm for us is a separate team and largely a separate effort. We are quite pleased with our progress on 7nm. In fact, very pleased with our progress on 7nm, said Randashantalamurthy, Chief Engineering Officer and President of Technology, Systems Architecture and Client Group at Intel, speaking at the Nasdaq conference. I think that we have taken a lot of lessons out of the 10nm experience as we defined that and defined a different optimization point between transistor density, power and performance and schedule predictability. So, we are very, very focused on getting 7nm out according to our original internal plans, he added. 7nm UV being on track would mean a qualitative rollout within or toward the end of 2019. And mass production of chips slated for 2020-21, considering that 10nm UV qualitatively went online late 2017, with the first mass-produced product in May 2018. This would mean Intel won't hang on to 10nm UV for long, and could build far fewer generations of processors on the node, as opposed to 6 on the 14nm owing to crippling delays in 10nm. X2 announces the Spartan 716 tempered glass micro ATX case. Introducing the Spartan 716 Cube Tempered Glass Case. Version 2 of the Spartan series compact PC gamer case is here. The Spartan 716 all-new S Micro ATX structure supporting a standard ATX power supply unit and Micro ATX or Mini ITX main board. Looking to build your own smaller gaming system? This might just be what you are interested in. The Spartan 716 makes for the ideal system to carry to your friends or gaming events. With two solid metal handles on the top and bottom, you can easily pick up and carry this case with you. This cube-shaped PC enclosure accommodates sufficient space for other components such as HDD, SSD X3, long video cards up to 245mm long X2, large CPU cooler up to 160mm and room for up to X3 cooling fans, one 120/140mm fan space on the front, 180mm fan space on the bottom and one 120/140mm fan space on the top. A cool looking meshed effect on the rear side of the front tempered glass as well as tempered glass side panels on the left and right to show of LED, RGB lights. The Spartan 716 contains X2 USB 3.0 and X1 USB 2.0 and HDAC97 audio ports on the top panel so that you can easily connect your peripherals. Backed by the 2-year warranty service from X2 Gaming. Features: Micro ATX or Mini ITX compatible, 0.5mm SBCC all black coated structure. 2x HDD and 1x SSD and 4 PCI slots, front, left and right side panels tempered glass, VGA card length, 245mm max, CPU cooler height, 160mm max, 2 years manufacturer warranty. MSRP, $69.95.